Hi everybody, it's Julia, your trusted travel expert, helping you find that je ne sais quoi wherever you are in the world normally. We are facing an unprecedented time right now, so I'm less focused on helping you find the je ne sais quoi and more helping you focused on helping you figure out what's what in this kind of crazy unprecedented time in the world. So just to preface this, because things are changing almost hourly, I'm recording this Thursday midday, following last night's announcement and address from the president, and then further clarification from the Department of Homeland Security. I know there are so many different resources out there, so many different websites to check, and so much craziness floating around that I wanted to kind of give you the facts, straight from all the research I have been doing over the past couple weeks, and specifically that I really focused on this morning. World Health Organization, CDC, and State Department, those are your three main places for information that you're going to want to go to. But just to give you kind of the skinny, I've got sort of 4 or 5 main areas I want to discuss today. One, there is not a ban on traveling to Europe, and U.S. citizens do not have to rush home and be here before Friday at midnight. That is not what was put into place. What was put into place is a limiting of the number of foreign nationals originating from Europe into the U.S. And that is, when I say Europe, I'm talking about the Schengen countries. So that does not include England. It does not include Ireland. It doesn't include like Croatia, for example. It's really those mainland Europe, France, Germany, Italy, obviously, Spain, those kind of countries. So U.S. citizens are actually not affected by this ban. I can imagine the airlines' schedules will change greatly because I know the government, another thing that they're trying to do is focus the travel to these 11 specific airports that they've named that are qualified for additional screenings, and I will give you those in a minute. But that's all that means. Now, there are still, to this date, on all these different, the Department of State website, everything, the level 3 or above warnings are still either, the usual suspects like, Afghanistan, war-torn countries, North Korea, but they are still China, South Korea, Iran, and Italy. And those are the only 4 countries still that are, sort of do not travel recommended, besides the usual suspects. Now, there are a lot of other countries mentioned. I went through all of the major tourist destination countries to see what their different travel restrictions are, because that's something else that's happening, is warnings from other countries that may affect us traveling to them, right? Israel has pretty much kind of closed their borders. You really have to do a quarantine before or after entering Israel. India is becoming much, much more strict on their visas and their arrivals for the next 30 days. Places like Malta and the Maldives and even Tahiti, they're being much, much more strict about who can arrive. Tahiti, or French Polynesia, has instituted a policy where you have to have a medical certificate clearing you of being in good health that's 5 days before your departure to Tahiti. Those little island nations are really working hard to make sure that they either keep any cases out of their countries or, limit it as much as possible, which is a good thing. This is all a good thing, right? But for real, the only 4 main countries that are so far at this point, Thursday midday, that the U.S. government has said do not travel to are Italy, Iran, Korea, South Korea, and China. So keep that in mind. Insurance has we've all become much more learned on insurance and how or when that will cover you. And I will give you the bitter pill to swallow that this is a known event and pandemics are not covered by insurance. Fear of getting sick or fear of travel is never a covered reason for travel insurance unless you have canceled for any reason insurance. But fear of getting the disease is not covered. Insurance is going to want you to take your trip if your flight is operational and you're either tour operator or hotel or whatever it is you're going to see, if that is operational. If those two things are operational, you will not be covered for cancellation. Now, what is happening and the dominoes are just starting to fall. You know, obviously Viking has now suspended all operations until May 1st, and Princess Cruise Line has suspended all of their operations until May 10th. So, for example, if your cruise or your trip, your tour operator cancels your trip, I know Tauck has canceled 19 trips through Italy through April, I forget the date, but if your trip or your cruise has been canceled, obviously you'll get a credit from the operator, and the insurance should be able to help you out with airlines. Now let's talk about airlines. A number of airlines have instituted really wonderful waivers for change fees. They're all very different about where their change fee applies and how it applies and everything like that. So if you have airline tickets, you either want to call the airline specifically, or you can call me and I will help you research your options. But I want to preface this with, all of this is focused on the next 30 days. We are not talking about anything after May 1st, really. I mean, May 10th, if you're looking at Princess Cruises. So if you are traveling in May, June, July, hold tight. You have to just take a deep breath and be patient, because if you try and cancel now, you won't get any money back. I'll go ahead and tell you that. Generally, you're probably not going to get all your money back, because right now there's no issue. You know, I have clients going to Ireland in May, and I was talking to them about it. And right now, Ireland is fine. There's no warning against Ireland. There's no issue in Ireland. So if they were to try and cancel now, the tour operator is still planning on running, their flights are still planning on running, all that good stuff. They wouldn't get any protection or anything like that. So if you're traveling in May, I know it's scary, but you just have to hang tight and watch and see what happens. It's really these travelers, you know, over the next 30 to 45 days that are really the ones that really need to get busy, if you haven't already gotten busy. Going back to another thing, that if you are traveling in the next 30 to 45 days, I want you to look at your flights, because there, like I said, there are 11 airports that have been designated for enhanced screening, I think they're calling it. Basically, what they should have been doing, but they haven't been doing, is they probably take your temperature, and if you have a temperature, then you get pulled aside and you get tested for various things. But I mean, I know I had my temperature taken 3, 4, whatever it was, beginning of February when I arrived into Zanzibar. So the 11 airports, just so you know, I wanted to let you know what they are. They are Atlanta, Chicago O'Hare, Dallas Fort Worth, Detroit, Honolulu, LAX, JFK, and Newark in the New York area, SFO, Seattle, and Dulles in Washington, D.C. So those are the 11 airports that are enhanced screening. So if you're traveling in the next, either to Europe or somewhere not affected, over the next 30 to 45 days, I mean, that's fine. You can still travel if you are healthy and you understand the risks and you're willing to take them. Perfectly fine. But you might want to double check that your flight, especially if you're going internationally, you might want to double check that your flight passes through one of those airports. They've been very unclear. Quarantines and whether you're going to get quarantined is very unclear. There are no mass quarantines going on at this point. You know, obviously the cruise ship that just docked in Oakland a couple days ago, everyone that came off of that is quarantined, things like that. But as far as just anyone coming in from a non-warning country, they're not quarantined as of now. Now, if you come in from China, Italy, Iran, or South Korea, then I think you can expect a 2-week quarantine. But so far, other than that, I've not heard of any other quarantines. So that's sort of an update for now. I mean, I know it's super stressful. It's super concerning time just because we don't really know exactly what's going to happen, especially in our country, much less other countries with this virus. I will remind you that the vast majority of people that get the COVID-19 virus or its mutations, because apparently it can already have mutated, the vast majority of people survive. And if you are of sound health and you don't have any, lung or heart or, respiratory issues, you will, or suppressed immune issues, you will most likely be fine if you even get it. But what everyone is trying to do right now is just make sure that we try and slow or stop the spread of it so that the people that do get it have hospitals to go to, have resources that they can help treat it. So That's this week's update. If you have any questions, please, please, please reach out. Don't panic. Don't just read everything you see on Facebook or anything like that. Try and stick to the State Department website, the World Health Organization, and the CDC. All right? We will get through this, and we will continue to explore this world. If you have any questions, I'm here for you, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.